Hi everyone, so for 10-minute tutorials today we're going to go over eagle pose or Garudasana. And for eagle pose, it's a big shoulder and hip opener, but it's also a balancing posture. So if you have a strap at home and a block, that's a great way to prep for this posture. I'm using a computer bag strap as a makeshift strap and just a box of Swiffers instead of a block. So anything just with a little bit of height on it. The first way that you can work on opening up through the shoulders to help with eagle pose is just from shoulder flossing. So using a strap to open up through the shoulders. So you're going to bring your strap between the hands and taut overhead, and you want to sit nice and tall. So you're not overarching or rounding through the spine, just sitting nice and tall, elongating through the vertebrae. So I'm going to hold it taut, but you want it to be wide enough so that you can draw the strap all the way back behind you. So you might need to adjust. You still want it to feel like a bit of a stretch, so not too easy, but you also don't want to injure yourself. So this is the first way that you can start to open up the shoulders. And just remembering to connect the breath to the movement as you start to open up. Again, I'm trying not to overcompensate through arching and rounding through the spine. I'm sitting nice and tall. Good. So another way to prepare for eagle pose is thread the needle. And thread the needle is a great way to open up between the shoulder blades. So you'll start in a tabletop position, shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. And then you'll inhale, lift your right arm high to the sky. As you exhale, you'll thread the right arm underneath the left, bringing your right ear down to the mat or maybe a block if you need a little height. So for this variation, I'm going to walk my left fingertips forward in front of me. And I'm going to breathe into the space between my shoulder blades. So I'm trying to send the breath there and create more space. To come out of this one, you'll just bring the left hand underneath the left shoulder. Inhale, right arm high. And exhale, set it down. And then, as always, you want to make sure to do both sides. So threading the left arm underneath the right. Maybe noticing if one side tends to feel a little bit tighter than the other. And again, I'm breathing into the space between my shoulder blades. So I'm really trying to open up through the upper back, so sending the breath there. And then coming out the same way. And if you have more time and you have fairly open shoulders, another stretch that you can do is just laying on your belly and crossing both arms underneath you and scooting forward over the arms and just breathing into the upper back. And you'll hold this for several breaths and then making sure to switch sides. So opposite arm underneath, relaxing the chin down and breathing into the upper back. So again, as you're practicing, you're going to want to do this longer. But for the sake of 10-minute tutorials, just giving you an example. So one way that you can start to open up through the outer hips and find a slight internal rotation through the thighs, which is something that we do in eagle pose, is by practicing Gomukhasana or cow face pose. Or if you practice yin yoga, you might know it as shoelace pose. So what you'll do is you'll extend your legs out long in front of you. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring your right foot across. So your heel is coming to the outer left hip. And you're going to try to stack your knees on top of each other. Now you might decide that this is enough and you just want to sit nice and tall or take a forward fold here. If you want to take the full cow face pose, You'll go ahead and bring the bottom heel towards the outer right hip. And you again want to try to get the knees to stack on top of each other. So you might need to put a towel in between the knees if this is too intense as a little prop. Good. In your cow face pose, if you want to continue to open up through the shoulders, I like to take a half cow face arm. So I'll just lift my right arm up, and I'm going to wrap the bicep backwards. So my palm faces back, finding external rotation through my shoulder. And then I'm going to assist my hand down between the shoulder blades. Now, again, the back likes to arch here. So think about drawing the front lower ribs up and in, so you're elongating through the upper back. So we're taking that arch out of the spine. Good. Then again, we want to do both sides. So you'll bring your legs out long in front of you, and you'll cross the left knee over the right, the heel towards the outer right hip. And again, you might decide just this half variation is enough, knowing that maybe one side needs something different than the other. That's totally normal. But if you want to go for the full seat, you'll bring that right heel in towards the left outer hip, and then you'll take the other side. So you'll lift your left arm up, and then again you're going to want to wrap the bicep to face back, the palm to face back. So you're finding an external wrap through the shoulder blade. And then you'll just assist the hand down between the shoulder blades and take deep breaths. Again, try to knit those front ribs together. So we're taking that big arch out of the spine. And you'll just hold and breathe. Now for some of us, cow face pose might be too intense just all together, sitting down. So a modification for this is just laying on your back and crossing the knees and just drawing the heels towards the body. So you can grab the feet, the ankles, the shins, and trying to keep the shoulder blades relaxed down. And then switching sides. So those are some great prep postures. Another great prep posture for eagle pose is just practicing your chair pose. So bringing your feet together to touch, sitting the hips back, gazing down, making sure you can still see your toes. So if your knees are hiding your toes from your vision, you're going to want to sit further back. So the trick in eagle is wrapping the top foot behind the back calf. In order to do so, you need to sit low in your chair. If you're standing tall, it's hard to wrap the feet. So practicing getting a low seat in your chair is the first step. Also, again, trying not to overarch the back, knit the front ribs in, lengthen the tailbone down. Good. Good. So those are some great prep postures. When you're ready to start practicing eagle pose, there's a few ways you can approach it. So for some of us, it might mean actually sitting back and having our back up against a wall, or perhaps taking a chair and sitting on the edge of the seat so you have more stability in your balance. Another trick is to start with your block or whatever you have at home that resembles a block outside the standing foot. So for me, it's outside my left foot to start. I'm going to inhale, sit into my chair pose. Again, making sure I can still see all 10 toes. Good. As you exhale, you're going to cross the right leg over the left, and then you're just going to bring your toes on top of the block. So it's helping me find some stability. I can check in, make sure my knees aren't swiveling left or right. Make sure my standing toes are pointing forward. Now, when we start to incorporate the arms here, you're going to bring the right arm underneath the left, and then you have some options. The first step is just working on wrapping the hands behind the shoulders like you're giving yourself a hug. And if you're ready to go a little bit deeper, you might bring the backs of the hands together. And then finally, you'll bring the palms of the hands together. Now from here, you want to sit low And I like to lift the elbows, trying to get them shoulder height, maybe higher, and then reach the hands further away from the face. So I'm creating a deeper stretch between the shoulder blades here, and I'm breathing into the upper back. Some of you may have practiced this, and a teacher might say to bend forward. This is great if you're in a heated classroom, because what you're doing here is you're compressing all the lymph nodes underneath the armpits, and you're really rinsing and detoxifying. Neither is right or wrong, they're just different. So lifting, trying to create a long flat back, lifting the elbows, hands away from the face, is a little bit more of a shoulder stretch. And this variation is a little bit more detoxifying. It might test our balance a little bit more. Good. So I'll show you on the other side without the prop. So again, you're gonna go ahead and sit nice and low. The lower you sit, the easier it is to wrap the foot behind the calf. So you'll see I'll lift my left knee over the right, and I'm gonna try to get my toes behind my calf. So if I'm standing tall, it's not gonna wrap. So practicing our chair pose really helps. Sitting nice and low. And then I wanna make sure my knees are in the same direction as my toes, pointing forward. And this time I'm gonna bring left arm underneath the right. And the lower you sit, the better. And I'm gonna try to stack my shoulders over my hips. So imagine you're sitting against a wall and your back was flat against the wall. And then lift the elbows and reach the hands forward. And then if you want, you can take the variation where you're crouching down, really compressing through the lymphatic system. Good. So there are a lot of variations that you can take eagle pose in, whether it's upside down or in a supine twist. They don't always have to be standing balancing, but it's a great foundation to start. And some of those beginner stretches and exercises are a great way to prepare yourself before jumping into that posture. If you have some time to just practice balancing on one foot as well, that's a great way to prep yourself for that posture. But again, you can sit on the edge of a chair, you can sit up against a wall, or use the block or whatever you have at home that resembles a block. So I think that should be about 10 minutes. Oh, 13 minutes, a little behind. If you have any questions, go ahead and DM me. And I hope everyone has a great day.